than any candidate since Manahan and Manglapos to achieving victory by means of an electoral insurgency. The same so near and yet so far story was played out by the late Raul S. Rocco, who featured as the anti-traditional party candidate in 1998 and also in 2004. Yet he ended up defeated in both elections because he refused to practice the politics of addition as it had been perfected by the Ronnie Punos of this world. He would not bribe, he would not cheat, he would not make promises and sign deals with warlords, drug dealers, and drug lords. And so he lost. But the story of independent candidates since the days of Manahan has been a slow and frustrating demonstration that there remains a small but committed electorate for candidates who dare to buck the trend. This is in contrast to independent candidates, let's say before Manahan. Now chances are you won't know who this man is. He's Hilario Mancado, who helped bring Ilocanos to work in Hawaii. Now, he ran for the presidency as an independent candidate and was never taken seriously. After him, independent candidates were also like Racuyal, who promised to build a dome to keep his countrymen air-conditioned. Eccentrics, the public and the press called them, but while some eccentrics still run for president, we see more and more independent candidates taken seriously. But there remains big obstacles for those who dare to buck the trend. For much of his political life, Senator Francis Escudero was a loyal party man in a party, the NPC, which was traditional to the core. Despite this, Cheese Escudero gained a wide following among the youth, for many of the same reasons Manahan and Manglapos did. He was eloquent, cut from a different mold than the pot-bellied dinosaurs in Congress, and he lived without ostentation. By this year, it seemed he'd become too big, politically speaking, for his party. There was the distinct possibility he had the chance to become the youngest president elected to office. He had done his homework. He marshaled his forces, expectations and confidence were high. But then he hit a wall. The dinosaurs didn't want to back him. Perhaps they thought he'd gotten too big for his britches. Whatever the reason, his party refused to support him and he decided to leave his party. What followed was an eloquent denunciation of all the short-sightedness and self-interest that have given party politics a bad name. But it still left Escudero without machinery, without money, and in the end, without a candidacy. As strategist, Escudero decided he'd be better off building a network now rather than vainly seeking the presidency. Contrast Escudero's daring, tempered by pragmatism, with the unalloyed maverick status of this man, Nicanor Perlas, who had no party, no money, no following or national reputation outside the small circle of NGO types, and who ended up throwing his hat in the presidential ring anyway. In the end, the COMELEC threw out his candidacy because he lacked all the basic building blocks of a national campaign. And here are those building blocks. However small it may be, you need a party. For a leader, if he is to be a leader, needs followers, and the followers need to be organized. This is why, though they had similar numbers in terms of the surveys, for example, Ang Kapatiran's candidate was allowed to run by the COMELEC while Perlas wasn't. Ang Kapatiran has participated in past elections, it had elected a councillor, its current presidential candidate, and had achieved modest numbers in the senatorial race. Now, it had a party organization and so on. In fact, it's done more in this regards than, let's say, Manahan, who later on joined one of the major parties, or Manglapos, who did likewise, or Miriam or Rocco. Now, its candidates may consistently lose, but its party identity has remained consistent. Like or dislike their party platform, this is one group that actually takes such a document seriously. Now, last December 5 to 10, the Social Weather Stations, in cooperation with Business World newspaper, conducted the latest presidential preferences poll. Now, here are the results. You can see the leading contender, Noynoy Aquino of the LP, with 46%, followed by Manny Villar of the NP with 27%, and third comes Joseph Estrada of UNO with 16%, and Gibo Teodoro of Lakas Campi with 5%. But look at the independent or small party candidates. Gordon and Villanueva with 1% each. And this bigger red slice on your screen, the 4% that may represent those who want none of the above, or other candidates like Ang Kapatirans de Los Angeles and Jambi Madrigal. And consider the results of the same survey, which had over 2,000 respondents for the vice presidency. The LP's Rojas takes the lead with 43%. The NPC's Legarda is next with 32%. Jejomar Binay of UNO has 10%, while Edu of the administration has 3%, and Gordon's running mate, Bayani Fernando, has 2%. But also look at the 10%, which may be undecided or are rooting for someone else. Now, I'm asking you to ponder these numbers because they represent a situation independent candidates and small parties are repeatedly confronted by come election time. Why do you bother? What's the point? And that's what we're going to discuss with our guest when we return. Welcome back to The Explainer. Now, joining me is the founder and chairman emeritus of the Ang Kapatiran Party, Nandi Pacheco. Welcome back to the show, Nandi.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you the same question I asked all the representatives of all the other candidates, which is, where are you guys now and how do you intend to wage this campaign?
Well, let me say this first. Ang Kapatiran Party is a faith journey. And a faith journey is a work of grace. And grace means that God will do for us what we cannot do by ourselves. That is, it's faith that keeps us moving.
But Nandi, that reminds me of what they say about praying to God, which is sometimes God answers you by not answering, by not giving you what you pray for.
That's okay, as long as we are consistent. And we believe that we have a message to the people. I personally, I've been a citizen of this country for quite some time. And I've seen political parties come and go. And if there's anything, something in common with all of them, there is this lack or absence of a clear, specific objectives stated in the platform. Ever since the Nationalista Party, Liberal Party, that pork barrel has been there. Then come EDSA 2, a constitution was drafted, 1987, and the framers of the constitution found it necessary to put in there that a provision that says the state shall guarantee equal access to
public office and services.
To people to go to public office, and that they must prohibit political dynasties as defined by law. Now, up to the present, there is no law. It only shows you the absence of responsible political parties in this country. And they can be indicted for that.